Всем доброго времени суток, хорошего всем настроения.
Good morning, everybody. I wish everybody a happy mood.
Второй международный марафон, посвященный
And we're continuing our second international marathon with the reading Holy Scriptures for the good of the world
мира, поэтому
and for the happiness of the world,
не эгоистично заниматься
because it's not egotistical to do spiritual practice, and if we can
в плане такие же,
help people if we have a spiritual life,
да, этим вирусом материального сознания,
we can
находится
cure ourselves of this material virus because we're in this material world, because we have material desires,
духовного пути.
and we
Если
can,
мы серьезны, если мы под руководством опытного духовного учителя, если мы
and if
находимся
we're under the guidance of a
материальные желания, не будут
good spiritual leader,
ускоряться, ну, так можно сказать, они будут
then we can
меньше волновать нас. И
we'll be able to worry less and less.
практики
We'll be able to seriously practice to put in an effort,
они закончат свое нападение, да, на нас, натиск.
and not to fall in our consciousness.
Хотим позаботиться, безусловно, о
So we want to support and take care of people,
материальных желаний. И они не ведают, что они в этой ловушке. Подобно тому, как если птица рождается в клетке, и она не знает, что такое свобода, для
if
нее это нормально.
a bird dies in a cage, they don't know what freedom is.
И вот недавно у нас в прошлом
Not long ago, in the last marathon,
не имеется в виду, родился теленок,
there was a
откуда идет трансляция,
calf that was born.
и он какое-то время находился не на улице, то есть специально у них такой.
He was inside. There was a special apartment for him,
Живет какое-то время,
and he was living
потом раз,
2 or 3 days,
как только ноги твердые стали,
and then his legs became
он первый раз на улице. Но до этого он даже не думал, что есть какая-то улица. Ну вот так и надо жить. Ну вот так и надо жить. Вот есть мама, есть молоко, есть пастух, который заботится обо мне. Все, вот оно, ограниченное мышление. И что, еще что-то где-то есть? Что для него?
maybe some people are
Люди, которые живут,
living inside, and they don't know what the outside is. People in the material world, they can't realize their spiritual desires. They try to do their material desires, but they don't know what spiritual desires are. It's just like a bird in the cage.
это сделать придется всем,
And everybody is going to, sooner or later, have to do this.
находится за пределами этого материального.
They don't know what is actually beyond the borders of material consciousness.
Да, поверить и узнать, что это реально есть.
You know that this actually is.
Стремились выйти из этой клетки наших желаний материальных.
They can know about getting beyond the cage of their materials
Потому что они
life.
входят в наше сознание и
And therefore we're reading these scriptures so that we can get out of this. So we can clean out the dirt that is distracting us, that is getting in our way. And we can actually understand our spiritual form
которая не знает,
that's full of bliss and knowledge.
в принципе, для этого и предназначена наша жизнь.
And this is what our life is for.
Для каждого человека во всех традициях
For every person.
предназначена, чтобы развить свои взаимоотношения с Богом, полюбить Его.
That's what the human life is for, to understand the Lord and to enter in a relationship with Him.
Господа Чайтаньи, которые проходили на земле 500 лет назад,
This is why Lord Caitanya came 500 years ago within India. It wasn't India.
происходило, Господь пришел специально для нас, не только для нас, пришел показать нам метод
It was India, but the Lord came
этого.
to show us how to get out of this cage, this eternal labyrinth that we created ourselves.
Открыть этот лабиринт. То есть
And we can open up this labyrinth. We can get out of it. We need a good orientation.
и поводырь это духовный учитель.
And that is the spiritual teacher.
И показывает путь.
The Holy Scriptures show the way.
факелом являются священные писания.
And within this material world, the torch is the the spiritual writings, the Vedas. Veda means to know.
И вот мы пытаемся правильно использовать
And here we're trying to correctly use the time of our life
духовный процесс,
to
образовательный процесс.
continue in the spiritual process.
Всем принесет участникам неизмеримое благо, пусть каждый получит то, что хотел получить, и даже больше получит. Да, и также мы, конечно же, желаем, чтобы все
And we're hoping that everyone can use this time wisely and they can get just a drop of the nectar from this spiritual practice, from the spiritual reading, so they can get bliss.
проникнут в сознание людей.
Hopefully that this
Ныряем в это
drop of nectar can get into the consciousness of people that was given to us by Lord Caitanya.
начали читать.
And we're going to start reading the Antya-lila, the first chapter,
Которая называется
that is called
«Встреча Шиларупа Госвами с Господом».
Srila Rupa Goswami,
И произнесем благоприятно. И начнем
second
погружение.
meeting with the Lord. We're going to read some mantras.
Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Dvaita Chandra, Jaya Gora Bhakta Vrinda, Jaya Jaya Shri Caitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Dvaita Chandra, Jaya Gora Bhakta Vrinda, Jaya Jaya Shri Caitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Dvaita Chandra, Jaya Gora Bhakta Vrinda, Jai Gurudev. Мы остановились на 124
We
стихе,
stopped at the
где Сварупа Дамодара отвечает за Шрилу
verse
Рупу
124.
Госвами. То есть Рамананда Рай спросил, что
Ramananda
за
Rai
пьесу ты
asked,
пишешь?
what are you writing? What's the song
Нетрудно
you're writing?
догадаться, что это пьеса «Сокровищница философских
This is the
истин».
treasure of the philosophical truths.
Такой вопрос задает Рамананда Рай.
Ramananda Rai
И
asked
Сварупа
this
Дамодар
question.
отвечает за Шрилу Рупу
Swarup
Госвами.
Damodar
Он
answered for
собрался
Srila
написать
Goswami.
пьесу об играх Господа Кришны.
He wanted to write about
Он
the
хотел
the
описать
pastimes of the Lord.
в одном произведении игры Господа во Вриндаване, Мадхури.
He wanted to write about the pastimes of the Lord in Mathura and Dwarka. 125.
Эту пьесу, но сейчас по указанию Читанина Махапрабху
He began to write it in that way, but now, following the order of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu,
одно об играх
he has divided it in two and is writing two plays, one concerning the pastimes of Mathura and Dwarka, and the other concerning the pastimes of Vrindavan. The two plays are called Vidaga Madhava and Lalita Madhava. Both of them wonderfully describe ecstatic, emotional love of God. Ramananda Roy said, "Please recite the introductory verse of that Vidaga Madhava so that I can hear and examine it." Thus, Sri Rupa Goswami began being ordered by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu recited the verse, "May the pastimes of Sri Krishna reduce the miseries existing in the material world and nullify all unwanted desires." The pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are like Sri Harini, a blend of yogurt and sugar candy. They overpower the pride of even the nectar produced on the moon, for they distribute the sweet fragrance of the concentrated loving affairs of Srimati Radharani and the gopis. Ramananda Rai said, "Please recite the descriptions of the glories of your worshipable deity." Rupa Goswami, however, hesitated due to embarrassment because Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was present. The Lord, however, encouraged Rupa Goswami, saying, "Why are you embarrassed? You should recite it so that the devotees can hear the good fruit of your writing." When Rupa Goswami thus recited his verse, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu disapproved of it because it described his personal glories. He expressed the opinion that it was an exaggerated explanation. May the Supreme Lord, who is known as the son of Srimati Sachi Devi, be transcendently situated in the innermost core of your heart, resplendent with the radiance of molten gold. He has descended in the age of Kali by his causeless mercy to bestow what no incarnation has ever offered before. the most elevated mellow of devotional service, the mellow of conjugal love. All devotees present so greatly appreciated this verse that they expressed their gratitude to Sri Rupa Goswami for his transcendental recitation. Ramananda Roy inquired, "How have you introduced the assembly of the players?" Rupa Goswami replied, "The players assembled at a suitable time under the heading of Pravartaka. When the entrance of the actors is set in the motion by the arrival of a suitable time, the entrance is called Pravartaka. Springtime has arrived, and the moon, full of that season, inspired the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is complete in everything, with new attraction to meet the beautiful Srimati Radharani at night to increase the beauty of their pastimes." Ramananda Roy said, "Please recite the Prarochana portion so that I may hear and examine it." Sri Rupa Goswami replied, "I think that Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu desired to hear his Prarochana. The devotees now present are constantly thinking of the Supreme Lord and are therefore highly advanced. This work named Vidaga Madhava depicts the characteristic pastimes of the Lord Krishna with decorations of poetic ornaments, and the inner grounds of the forest of Vrindavan provide a suitable platform for the dancing of Krishna with the gopis. Therefore I think that the pious activities of persons like us, who have tried to advance in devotional service, have now attained maturity. O learned devotees, I am by nature ignorant and low, yet even though it is from me that the Vidaga Madhava has come, it is filled with descriptions of the transcendental attributes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore will not such a literature bring about the attainment of the highest goal of life? Although its wood may be ignited by a low-class man, fire can nevertheless purify gold. Similarly, although I am very low by nature, this book may help cleanse the dirt from within the hearts of the golden devotees." Then Ramananda Roy inquired from Rupa Goswami about the causes of the loving affairs between Krishna and the gopis, such as previous attachment, transformations of love, endeavors for love, and exchanges of letters disclosing the gopis' awakenings love for Krishna. Srila Rupa Goswami gradually informed Ramananda Roy about everything he asked. Hearing his explanations, all the devotees of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu were struck with wonder. Experiencing previous attachment to Krishna, Purvaraga, Srimati Radharani thought, "Since I have heard the name of a person called Krishna, I have particularly lost my good sense. Then there is another person who plays his flute in such a way that after I hear the vibrations, intense madness arises in my heart. And again there is another person to whom my mind becomes attached when I see his beautiful lightning-like effulgence in his picture. Therefore I think that I am greatly condemned, for I have become simultaneously attached to three persons. It would be better for me to die because of this." My dear friend, these palpitations of Srimati Radharani's heart are extremely difficult to cure. Even if one applied some medical treatment, it would only end in defamation. O dearly beautiful one, the artistic loveliness of your picture is now impressed within my mind. Since you are now living within my mind, wherever I wish to run because I am agitated by impressions of you, I find that you, O my friend, are blocking my way. Upon seeing peacock feathers in front of her, this girl suddenly begins trembling. When she sometimes sees a necklace of gunja, small conch shells, she sheds tears and cries loudly. I do not know what kind of new ecstatic influence has entered the heart of this poor girl. It has imbued her with the dancing attitude of a player creating wonderful, unprecedented dances on a stage. Srimati Radharani said to her constant companion Vishaka, "My dear friend, if Krishna is unkind to me, there will be no need for you to cry, for it will not be due to any fault of yours. I shall then have to die, but afterwards please do one thing for me, to observe my funeral ceremony. Place my body with its arms embracing a tamala tree like creepers. so that I may remain forever in Vrindavan undisturbed. That is my last request. Ramananda Roy inquired, "What are the characteristics of emotional love?" Rupa Goswami replied, "This is the nature of emotional love for Krishna. My dear beautiful friend, if one develops love of Godhead, love of Krishna, the son of Nanda Maharaj, all the bitter and sweet influences of this love will manifest in one's heart. Such love of Godhead acts in two ways. The poisonous effects of love of Godhead defeat the severe and fresh poison of the serpent. Yet there is simultaneously transcendental bliss, which pours down and defeats the poisonous effects of a snake, as well as the happiness derived from pouring nectar on one's head. It is perceived as doubly effective, simultaneously poisonous, and nectarian." Ramananda Roy further inquired, "What are the natural characteristics of awakening love of Godhead?" Rupa Goswami replied, "These are the natural characteristics of love of God. When one hears praise from his beloved, he outwardly remains neutral but feels pain within his heart. When he hears his beloved making accusations about him, he takes them to be jokes and enjoys pleasure. When he finds faults in his beloved, they do not diminish his love, nor do the beloved's good qualities increase his spontaneous affection. Thus, spontaneous love continues under all circumstances. That is how spontaneous love of Godhead acts within the heart. Upon hearing of my cruelty, moon-faced Radharani may establish some kind of tolerance in her aggrieved heart, but then she might turn against me, or indeed, being fearful of the lusty desires invoked by the bow of formidable Cupid, she might even give up her life. Alas, I have foolishly uprooted the soft creeper of her desire just when it was ready to bear fruit. Desiring the happiness of his association and embraces, my dear friend, I disregarded even my superiors and relaxed my shyness and gravity before them. Furthermore, although you are my best friend, more dear to me than my own life, I have given you so much trouble. Indeed, I even put aside the vow of dedication to my husband, a vow I kept by the most elevated women. Oh, alas, although he is now neglecting me, I am so sinful that I am still living. Therefore, I must condemn my so-called patience. I was engaged in my own playful activities in my own home, and because of my childish innocence, I did not know right from wrong. Therefore, it is good for you to have forced us into being so much attracted to you, and then to have neglected us. Now you are indifferent to us. Do you think this is right? Our hearts are so polluted by miserable conditions that we are certainly going to Pluto's kingdom. Nevertheless, Krishna does not give up his beautiful loving smiling, which is full of cheating tricks. O Srimati Radharani, you are very intelligent. How could you have developed such great loving affection for this deceitful debauchee from the neighborhood of the cowherds? O Lord Krishna, you are just like an ocean. The river of Srimati Radharani has reached you from a long distance, leaving far behind the tree of her husband. Breaking through the bridge of social convention and forcibly crossing the hills of elder relatives, coming here because of fresh feelings and love for you. That river has now received your shelter. But now, you are trying to turn her back by the waves of unfavorable words. How is it that you are spreading this attitude? Srila Ramananda Roy further inquired, how have you described Vrindavan, the vibration of the transcendental flute, and the relationship between Krishna and Radhika? Please tell me all this, for your poetic ability is wonderful. After offering obeisances to Ramananda Roy, Rupa Goswami gradually began answering his inquiries. The sweet, fragrant honey oozing from the newly grown mango buds is again and again attracting groups of bumblebees, and this forest is trembling in the softly moving breezes from the Malaya hills, which are full of sandalwood trees. Thus the forest of Vrindavan is increasing my transcendental pleasure. My dear friend, see how this forest of Vrindavan is full of transcendental creepers and trees. The tops of the creepers are full of flowers, and intoxicated bumblebees are buzzing around them, humming songs that please the ear and surpass even the Vedic hymns. My dear friend, this forest of Vrindavan is giving great pleasure to our senses in various ways. Somewhere bumblebees are singing in groups, and some places mild breezes are cooling the entire atmosphere. Somewhere the creepers and tree twigs are dancing, the malika flowers are expanding their fragrance, and an overabundance of juice is constantly flowing in showers from pomegranate fruits. The flute of Krishna's pastimes measures 3 fingers in length. It is bedecked with Antya-lila gems, and the end of the flute are Aruna gems, rubies, glittering beautifully, and between its ends the flute is plated with gold set ablaze by diamonds. This auspicious flute, pleasing to Krishna, is glittering in his hands with transcendental brilliance. My dear friend, the flute, it appears that you have been born of a very good family, for your residence is in the hands of Sri Krishna. By birth you are simple, and are not at all crooked. Why then have you taken initiation into this dangerous mantra that enchants the assembled gopis? My dear friend, the flute, you are actually full of many holes or faults. You are light, hard, juiceless, and full of knots. But what kind of pious activities have engaged you in the service of being kissed by the Lord and embraced by his hands? The transcendental vibrations of Krishna's flute blocked the movements of the rain clouds, struck the Gandharvas full of wonder, and agitated the meditation of great saintly persons like Sanaka and Sanandana. It created wonder in Lord Brahma, wrought intense curiosity that agitated the mind of Bali Maharaj, who was otherwise firmly fixed, made Maharaj Ananta, the carrier of the planets, whirl around, and penetrated the strong coverings of the universe. Thus the sound of the flute in his hands of Krishna created a wonderful situation. The beauty of Krishna's eyes surpasses the beauty of white lotus flowers. His yellow garments surpass the brilliance of fresh decorations of kumkum. His ornaments of selected forest flowers subdue the hankering for the best of garments, and his bodily beauty possesses mind-attracting splendor, greater than the jewels known as Marakata Mani, emeralds. O most beautiful friend, please accept the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is standing before you full of transcendental bliss. The borders of his eyes roam from side to side, and his eyebrows move slowly like bumblebees on his lotus-like face. Standing with his right foot placed below the knee of his left leg, the middle of his body curved in 3 places, and his neck gracefully tilted to the side, he takes his flute to his pursed lips and moves his fingers upon it here and there. O beautiful faced one, who is this creative person standing before us? With the sharp chisel of his loving glances, he is splitting the hard stones of many women's devotion to their husbands. With the luster of his body surpassing the brilliance of countless emeralds, he is simultaneously constructing private meeting places for his pastimes. My dear friend, this newly youthful Lord Sri Krishna, the moon in the family of Nanda Maharaj, is so beautiful that he defies the beauty of clusters of valuable jewels. All glories to the vibration of his flute, for it is cunningly breaking the patience of chaste ladies by loosening their belts and tight dresses. The beauty of Srimati Radharani's eyes forcibly devours the beauty of newly grown blue lotus flowers, and the beauty of her face surpasses that of an entire forest of fully blossomed lotuses. Her bodily luster seems to place even gold into a painful situation. Thus the wonderful, unprecedented beauty of Srimati Radharani is awakening in Vrindavan. Although the effulgence of the moon is brilliant initially at night, in the daytime it fades away. Similarly, although the lotus is beautiful during the daytime, at night it closes. But, O my friend, the face of the most dear Srimati Radharani is always bright and beautiful, both day and night. Therefore, to what can her face be compared? When Srimati Radharani smiles, waves of joy flow over her cheeks, and her arched eyebrows dance like the bow of Cupid. Her glance is so enchanting that it is like a dancing bumblebee moving unsteadily due to intoxication. That bee has bitten the whirl of my heart. Having heard these verses recited by Rupa Goswami, Srila Ramananda Roy said, "Your poetic expressions are like continuous showers of nectar. Kindly let me hear the introductory portion of the second drama." Srila Rupa Goswami said, "In your presence, which is just like brilliant sunshine, I am as insignificant as the light of a glowworm. It is even impudent for me to open my mouth before you." Then, having said this, he recited the introductory verse of the Lalita Madhava. The beautiful moonlight glories of Makunda give distress to the lotus-like faces of the wives of the demons and their raised breasts, which are like gleaming Chakravaka birds. Those glories, however, are pleasing to all his devotees, who are like Chakora birds. May those glories forever give pleasure to all you. When Srila Ramananda Roy further inquired about the second introductory verse, Srila Rupa Goswami was somewhat hesitant, but nevertheless he began to recite. The moon-like Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is known as the Son of Mother Sachi, has now appeared on earth to spread devotional love of himself. He is the emperor of the Brahmana community. He can drive away all the darkness of ignorance and control the mind of everyone in this world. May that rising moon bestow upon us all good fortune. Although Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu was inwardly greatly pleased when he heard this verse, externally he spoke as if angry. Your external poetic descriptions of the mellows of Lord Krishna's pastimes are like an ocean of nectar. But why have you put in a false prayer about me? It is like a drop of detestable alkali. Sri Ramananda Roy objected. It is not alkali at all. It is a particle of camphor he has put into the nectar of his exalted poetic expression. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu said, "My dear Ramananda Roy, you are jubilant at hearing these poetic expressions, but I am ashamed to hear them, for people in general will joke about them, the subject of this verse." Ramananda Roy said, instead of joking, people in general will feel great pleasure in hearing such poetry, for the initial remembrance of the worshipable deity invokes good fortune. Ramananda Roy inquired, by which subdivision of style do the players enter? Rupa Goswami then began to speak specifically about this subject. While dancing on the stage after having killed the ruler of uncivilized men, Kamsa, Lord Krishna, master of all arts, will at the proper time accept the hand of Srimati Radharani, who is qualified with all transcendental attributes. This introduction is technically called Udadyaka, and the whole scene is called Viti. You are so expert in dramatic expressions that each of my statements before you is like a wave from an ocean of impudence. To explain an unclear word, men generally join it with other words. Such an attempt is called Udadyaka. When Ramananda Roy requested Srila Rupa Goswami to speak further about various portions of the play, Srila Rupa Goswami briefly quoted his Lalita Madhava. The dust from cows and calves on the road creates a kind of darkness, indicating that Krishna is returning home from the pasture. Also, the darkness of evening provokes the gopis to meet Krishna. Thus the pastimes of Krishna and the gopis are covered by a kind of transcendental darkness and are therefore impossible for ordinary scholars of the Vedas to see. May the sweet sound of Lord Krishna's flute, his authorized messenger, be glorified, for it expertly releases Srimati Radharani from her shyness and attracts her from her home to the forest. My dear friend, who is this fearless young man? He is as bright as a lightning cloud, and he wanders in his pastimes like a maddened elephant. From where has he come to Vrindavan? Alas, by his restless movements and attractive glances, he is plundering from the vault of my heart the treasure of my patience. Srimati Radharani is the Ganges in which the elephant of my mind enjoys pastimes. She is the shining of the full autumn moon for the chakora birds of my eyes. She is dazzling ornament, the bright and beautiful arrangement of the stars on the border of the sky of my chest. Now today I have gained Srimati Radharani because of the highly elevated state of my mind. After hearing this, Srila Ramananda Roy submitted at the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu the super excellence of Srila Rupa Goswami's poetic expression and began to praise it as if he had thousands of mouths. Srila Ramananda Roy said, "This is not a poetic presentation. It is a continuous shower of nectar. Indeed, it is the essence of all ultimate realizations appearing from the former form of plays. The wonderful descriptions of Rupa Goswami are superb arrangements to express loving affairs. Hearing them will plunge the heart and ears of everyone into a whirlpool of transcendental bliss. What is the use of a bowman's arrow or a poet's poetry if they penetrate the heart but do not cause the head to spin? Without your mercy, such poetic expressions would be impossible for an ordinary living being to write. My guess is that you have given him the power." Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied, "I met Srila Rupa Goswami at Prayag. He attracted and satisfied me because of his qualities." Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu praised the metaphors and other literary ornaments of Srila Rupa Goswami's transcendental poetry. Without such poetic attributes, he said, there is no possibility of preaching transcendental mellows. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu requested all his personal associates to bless Rupa Goswami so that he might continuously describe the pastimes of Vrindavan, which are full of emotional love of Godhead. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, "Srila Rupa Goswami's elder brother, whose name is Sanatana Goswami, is such a wise and learned scholar that no one is equal to him." Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told Ramananda Roy, "Sanatana Goswami's renunciation of material connections is just like yours. Humility, renunciation, and excellent learning exists in him simultaneously. I empowered both of these brothers to go to Vrindavan to expand the literature of bhakti." Srila Ramananda Roy replied to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, "My Lord, you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If you like, you can cause even a wooden doll to dance. I see that the truths regarding transcendental mellows that you expounded through my mouth are all explained in the writings of Srila Rupa Goswami. Because of your causeless mercy toward your devotees, you want to describe the transcendental pastimes in Vrindavan. Anyone empowered to do this can bring the entire world under your influence." Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then embraced Rupa Goswami and asked him to offer prayers at the lotus feet of all the devotees present. Advaita Acharya, Nityananda Prabhu, and all other devotees showed their causeless mercy to Rupa Goswami by embracing him in return. Seeing Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's special mercy toward Srila Rupa Goswami and seeing his personal qualities, all the devotees were struck with wonder. Then, when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left with all his devotees, Haridas Thakur also embraced Srila Rupa Goswami. Haridas Thakur told him, "There is no limit to your good fortune. No one can understand the glories of what you have described." Sri Rupa Goswami said, "I do not know anything. The only transcendental words I can utter are those which Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu makes me speak. Although I am the lowest of men and have no knowledge, the Lord has mercifully bestowed upon me the inspiration to write transcendental literature about devotional service. Therefore I offer my obeisances at the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who has given me the chance to write these books." In this way, Srila Rupa Goswami passed his time in close association with Haridas Thakur by discussing the pastimes of Lord Krishna in great happiness. All the devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu thus spent 4 months with him. Then the Lord bade them farewell. and they returned to Bengal. Srila Rupa Goswami, however, stayed at the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and when the Doyal Yatra festival took place, he saw it in great happiness with the Lord. After the Dola Yatra festival ended, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu bade farewell to Rupa Goswami also. The Lord empowered him to bestow upon the Lord empowered him and bestowed upon him all kinds of mercy. Now go to Vrindavan and stay there, the Lord said. You may send here your elder brother, Sanatana. When you go to Vrindavan, stay there, preach transcendental literature, and excavate the lost holy places. Establish a service of Lord Krishna and preach the mellows of the Lord Krishna's devotional service. I shall also go to Vrindavan once more. Having thus spoken, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu embraced Rupa Goswami, who then placed the lotus feet of the Lord upon his head. Srila Rupa Goswami took leave of all the devotees of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu and returned to Vrindavan by the path through Bengal. Thus I have described the second meeting of Rupa Goswami and Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. Anyone who hears of this incident will certainly attain the shelter at the lotus feet of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. Praying at the lotus feet of Sri Rupa and Sri Raghunath, always desiring their mercy, I, Krishnadas, narrate Sri Caitanya Charitamrta, following in their footsteps. Thus ends Chapter 1 of the Antya-lila, entitled Srila Rupa Goswami's Second Meeting with the Lord. Antya-lila, Chapter 2, The Chastisement of Junior Haridas. Summary. The purport of this chapter is explained by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his Amrita Prabhava Bhashya as follows. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, the author of Sri Caitanya Charitamrita, wanted to explain direct meetings with Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, meeting with those empowered by him, and his Avirbhava appearance. Thus he described the glories of Nrsimhananda and other devotees. A devotee named Bhagavanacharya was exceptionally faithful to the lotus feet of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. Nevertheless, his brother Gopal Bhatta Acharya discoursed upon the commentary of impersonalism, Mayavad. Srila Swarup Damodar Goswami, the secretary of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, forbid Bhagavanacharya to indulge in hearing that commentary. Later, when Junior Haridas, following the order of Bhagavanacharya, went to collect alms from Madhavi Devi, he committed an offense by talking intimately with a woman, although she was in the renounced order. Because of this, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu rejected Junior Haridas, and despite all the requests of the Lord's stalwart devotees, the Lord did not accept him again. 1 year after the incident, Junior Haridas went to the confluence of the Ganges and Yamuna and committed suicide. In his spiritual body, however, he continued to sing devotional songs, and Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu heard them. When the Vaishnavas of Bengal went to see Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, these incidents became to Swarup Damodar and others. Verse 1. I offer my respectful obeisances onto the lotus feet of my spiritual master and all the other preceptors on the path of devotional service. I offer my respectful obeisances onto all the Vaishnavas and onto the 6 Goswamis, including Srila Rupa Goswami, Srila Sanatana Goswami, Raghunath Das Goswami, Jiva Goswami, and their associates. I offer my respectful obeisances onto Sri Advaita Prabhu, Sri Advaita Acharya Prabhu, Sri Nityananda Prabhu, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, and all his devotees, headed by Srivas Thakur. I then offer my respectful obeisances onto the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, Srimati Radharani, and all the gopis, headed by Lalita and Vishakha. All glories to Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, all glories to Nityananda Prabhu, all glories to Advaita Acharya, and all glories to all the devotees of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. In his incarnation as Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, Lord Sri Krishna descended to deliver all the living beings in the 3 worlds, from Brahmaloka down to Patyaloka. He caused their deliverance in 3 ways. The Lord delivered the fallen souls in some places by meeting them directly, in other places by empowering a pure devotee, and in still other places by appearing before someone himself. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu delivered almost all the fallen souls by directly meeting them. He delivered others by entering the bodies of great devotees, such as Nakula Brahmachari. And he delivered still others by appearing before them, as in the case of Nrsimhananda Brahmachari. I shall deliver the fallen souls. This statement characterizes the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu was personally present, anyone in the world who met him even once was fully satisfied and became spiritually advanced. Every year, devotees from Bengal would go to Jagannath Puri to meet Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, and after the meeting, they would return to Bengal. Similarly, people went to Jagannath Puri from various provinces of India, were fully satisfied after seeing the lotus feet of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. People from all over the universe, including the 7 islands and the 9 khandas of the planets of the demigods, Gandharvaloka and Kinnaraloka, would go there in forms of human beings.
Ну вот мы, находясь даже за много-много тысяч километров оттуда, можем погружаться туда и получать такую же милость, как будто мы.
Having seen the Lord, they all became Vaishnavas. Thus, in ecstatic love of Godhead, they chanted the Hare Krishna mantra and danced. Thus, by direct meetings, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu delivered the 3 worlds. Some people, however, were entangled in material activities and could not go. To deliver people in regions throughout the universe who could not meet him, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu personally entered the bodies of pure devotees. Thus he empowered living beings, his pure devotees, by manifesting in them so much of his own devotion that people in all other countries became devotees by seeing them. In this way, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu delivered the entire 3 worlds, not only by his personal presence, but also by empowering others. I shall briefly describe how he empowered a living being in Bengal. In Ambuya Muluka, there was a person named Nakul Brahmachari, who was a perfectly pure devotee, greatly advanced in devotional service. Desiring to deliver the people of Bengal, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu entered the heart of Nakula Brahmachari. Nakula Brahmachari became exactly like a man haunted by a ghost. Thus he sometimes laughed, sometimes cried, sometimes danced, and sometimes chanted like a madman. He continuously exhibited bodily transformations of transcendental love. Thus he cried, trembled, became stunned, perspired, danced, in love of Godhead, and made sounds like those of a cloud. His body shone with the same luster as that of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, and he showed the same absorption in ecstatic love of Godhead. People came from all provinces of Bengal to see these symptoms. He advised whomever he met to chant the holy names Hare Krishna. Thus, upon seeing him, people were overwhelmed with love of Godhead. When Shivananda Sain heard that Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu had entered the body of Nakula Brahmachari, he went there with doubts in his mind. Desiring to test the authenticity of Nakul Brahmachari, he stayed outside thinking as follows. If Nakul Brahmachari personally calls me and knows my worshipable mantra, then I shall understand that he is inspired by the presence of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. Thinking in this way, he stayed some distance apart. There was a large crowd of people, sometimes coming and some going. Indeed, some people in that great crowd could not even see Nakul Brahmachari. In his inspired state, Nakul Brahmachari said, Shivananda Sain is staying some distance away. 2 or 4 of you can go call him. Thus people began running here and there, calling in all directions, Shivananda! Whoever is Shivananda, please come. Nakul Brahmachari is calling you. Hearing these calls, Shivananda Sain quickly went there, offered obeisances to Nakul Brahmachari, and sat down near him. Nakul Brahmachari said, I know that you are doubtful. Now please hear this evidence with great attention. You are chanting the Gaura Gopal mantra, composed of 4 syllables. Now please give up the doubts you have resided within your heart. Shivananda Sain thereupon developed full confidence in his mind that Nakul Brahmachari was filled with the presence of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. Shivananda Sain then offered him respects and devotional service. In this way, one should understand the inconceivable potencies of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. Now please hear how his appearance Avirabhava takes place. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu always appeared in 4 places: in the household temple of Mother Sachi, in the places where Sri Nityananda Prabhu danced, in the house of Srivas Pandit during congregational chanting, and in the house of Raghava Pandit. He appeared because of his attraction to the love of his devotees. That is his natural characteristic. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared before Nrsimhananda Brahmachari and ate his offerings. Please hear about this with attention. Shivananda Sain had a nephew named Sri Kanta Sain, who by the grace of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was extremely fortunate. One year, Sri Kanta Sain came alone to Jagannath Puri in great eagerness to see the Lord. Seeing Sri Kanta Sain, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu bestowed causeless mercy upon him. Sri Kanta Sain stayed near Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for about 2 months in Jagannath Puri. When he was about to return to Bengal, the Lord told him, "Forbid the devotees of Bengal to come to Jagannath Puri this year. This year I shall personally go to Bengal and meet all the devotees there headed by Advaita Acharya. Please inform Shivananda Sain that in the month of Pausha, December-January, I shall certainly go to his home. Jagadananda is there, and he will give me offerings of food. Inform them all that no one should come to Jagannath Puri this year." When Sri Kanta Sain returned to Bengal and delivered his message, the minds of all the devotees were very pleased. Advaita Acharya was just about to go to Jagannath Puri when the other devotees, upon hearing this message, he waited. Shivananda Sain and Jagadananda also stayed back, awaiting the arrival of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When the month of Pausha arrived, Jagadananda and Shivananda collected all kinds of paraphernalia for the Lord's reception. Every day they would wait until the Lord had to come. As the month passed by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not come, Jagadananda and Shivananda became most unhappy. Suddenly Nrsimhananda arrived, and Jagadananda and Shivananda arranged for him to sit near them. Seeing them both so unhappy, Nrsimhananda inquired, Why do I see that you have both you are both despondent? Then Shivananda Sain told him Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu promised that he would come. Why then has he not arrived? Hearing this, Nrsimhananda Brahmachari replied, Please be satisfied. I assure you that I shall bring him here 3 days from now. Shivananda and Jagadananda knew of Nrsimhananda Brahmachari's influence and love of Godhead. Therefore they now felt assured that he would certainly bring Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. His real name was Pradyumna Brahmachari. The name Nrsimhananda had been given to him by Lord Gaurasundar himself. After meditating for 2 days, Nrsimhananda Brahmachari told Shivananda Sain, I have already brought Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to the village known as Panihati. Tomorrow at noon he will come to your home. Therefore please bring all kinds of cooking ingredients. I shall personally cook and offer him food. In this way I shall bring him here very soon. Be assured that I am telling you the truth. Do not be doubtful. Bring all the ingredients very soon, for I want to begin cooking immediately. Please do not do what I say. Nrsimhananda Brahmachari said to Shivananda, Please bring whatever cooking ingredients I want. Thus, Shivananda Sain immediately brought whatever he asked for. Beginning early in the morning, Nrsimhananda Brahmachari cooked many varieties of food, including vegetables, cakes, sweet rice, and other preparations. After he finished cooking, he brought separate dishes for Jagannath and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He also separately offered dishes to Nrsimhadev, his worshipable deity. Thus he divided all the food into 3 offerings. Then, outside the temple, he began to meditate upon the Lord. In his meditation, he saw Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu quickly come, sit down, and eat with all the three offerings, leaving behind no remnants. Pradyumna Brahmachari was overwhelmed by transcendental ecstasy upon seeing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Он выразил ему почтение и стал с преданностью служить ему. Таким образом,
Upon seeing Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu eating everything. Thus tears flowed from his eyes. Nevertheless, he expressed dismay, saying, "Alas, alas, my dear Lord, what are you doing? You are eating everyone's food. My dear Lord, you are one with Jagannath. Therefore, I have no objection to your eating his offering. But why are you touching the offering to Lord Nrsimhadev? I think that Nrsimhadev could not eat anything today, and therefore he is fasting. If the master fasts, how can the servant live?" Although Nrsimha Brahmachari felt jubilation within his heart to see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu eating everything, for the sake of Lord Nrsimhadev, he had externally expressed disappointment. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. Therefore, there is no difference between him, Lord Jagannath, and Lord Nrsimhadev. Pradyumna Brahmachari was deeply eager to understand this fact. Therefore, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu revealed it to him by a practical demonstration. After eating all offerings, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu started for Panihati. There, he was greatly satisfied to see the different varieties of vegetable preparations in the house of Raghava. Sivananda Sain said to Nrsimhananda, "Why are you expressing dismay?" Nrsimhananda replied, "Just see the behavior of your Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He alone has eaten the offerings for all three deities. Because of this, both Jagannath and Nrsimhadev remain fasting." When Shivananda Sain heard this statement, he was unsure whether Nrsimhananda Brahmachari was speaking that way because of ecstatic love, or because it was actually a fact. When Shivananda Sain was thus perplexed, Nrsimhananda Brahmachari said to him, "Bring more food. Let me cook again for Lord Nrsimhadev." Then Shivananda Sain again brought the ingredients with which to cook, and Pradyumna Brahmachari again cooked the offered the food to Nrsimhadev. The next year, Shivananda went to Jagannath Puri with all other devotees to see the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. One day, in the presence of all the devotees, the Lord raised these topics concerning Nrsimhananda Brahmachari and praised his transcendental qualities. The Lord said, "Last year, in the month of Pausha, when Nrsimhananda gave me varieties of sweetmeats and vegetables to eat, they were so good that I felt I had never eaten before such preparations." Hearing this, all the devotees were struck with wonder, and Shivananda became confident that the incident was true. In this way, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to eat at the temple of Sachimata every day and also visit the house of Srivas Thakur when kirtan was performed. Similarly, he was always present when Nityananda Prabhu danced, and he regularly appeared at the house of Raghava. Lord Gaurasundar is greatly influenced by the love of his devotees. Therefore, wherever there is pure devotion to the Lord himself, subdued by such love, appears, and his devotees see him. Influenced by the loving affairs of Shivananda Sain, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came again and again. Therefore, who can estimate the limits of his love? Thus, I have described the appearance of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Anyone who hears about these incidents can understand the transcendental opulence of the Lord.
Читание Махапрабху в деревню Панихати. Завтра в полдень он придет в ваш дом, поэтому принесите все необходимое, чтобы я смог приготовить для него подношение и накормить его. Очень скоро я приведу его сюда. Будьте уверены в том, что я говорю правду. Не сомневайтесь в моих словах. Быстро принесите все необходимое. Я хочу немедленно начать готовить. Сделайте, что я прошу. Нрисимхананда Брахмачари сказал Шивананде.
At Jagannath Puri, the association of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu lived Bhagavanacharya, who was certainly a gentleman, a learned scholar, and a great devotee. He was fully absorbed in thoughts of fraternal relationships with God. He was an incarnation of a cowherd boy, and thus his dealings with Swarup Damodar Goswami were very friendly. He sought the shelter of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's lotus feet with full surrender. Sometimes he would invite the Lord to dine at his home. Bhagavanacharya prepared varieties of rice and vegetables at home and brought the Lord there alone to eat. Bhagavanacharya's father, whose name was Shatananda Khan, was an expert statesman, whereas Bhagavanacharya was not at all interested in the management of the state. Indeed, he was almost in the renounced order of life. Bhagavanacharya's brother, whose name was Gopal Bhattacharya, had studied Vedanta philosophy at Benares and then returned to Bhagavanacharya's home. Bhagavanacharya took his brother to meet Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but the Lord, knowing that Gopal Bhattacharya was a Mayavadi philosopher, could not get much happiness from meeting him. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu derives no happiness from meeting one who is not a pure devotee of Krishna. Thus, because Gopal Bhattacharya was a Mayavadi scholar, the Lord felt no jubilation in meeting him. Nevertheless, because Gopal Bhattacharya was related to Bhagavanacharya, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu feigned pleasure in seeing him. Bhagavanacharya said to Swarup Damodar, "Gopal, my younger brother has returned to my home having concluded his study of Vedanta philosophy." Bhagavanacharya requested Swarup Damodar Goswami to hear from Gopal the commentary upon Vedanta. Swarup Damodar, however, somewhat angry because of love, spoke as follows: "You have lost your intelligence in the association of Gopal, and therefore you are eager to hear the Mayavad philosophy. When a Vaishnava listens to the Shariraka Bhashya, the Mayavad commentary upon the Vedanta Sutra, he gives up the Krishna consciousness attitude that the Lord is the master and the living entity is his servant. Instead, he considers himself the Supreme Lord. The Mayavad philosophy presents such a jugglery of words that even a highly elevated devotee who has accepted Krishna as his life and soul changes his decision when he reads the Mayavad commentary on the Vedanta Sutra. In spite of Swarup Damodar's protest, Bhagavanacharya continued, "We are all fixed at the lotus feet of Krishna with our hearts and souls. Therefore, the Shariraka Bhasya cannot change our minds." Swarup Damodar replied, "Nevertheless, when we hear Mayavad philosophy, we hear that Brahman is knowledge and that the universe of Maya is false, but we gain no spiritual understanding. The Mayavadi philosopher tries to establish that the living entity is only imaginary and that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is under the influence of Maya. Hearing this kind of commentary breaks the heart and life of a devotee." Thus Bhagavanacharya, greatly ashamed and fearful, remained silent, and the next day he asked Gopal Bhattacharya to return to his own district. One day Bhagavanacharya invited Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to dine at his home. Thus he was preparing rice and various types of vegetables. A devotee named Chotahari Das used to sing for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Bhagavanacharya called him to his home and spoke as follows: "Please go to my sister Shikimati Mahiti in my name and ask her for a manna of white rice to bring it here." Shiki Mahiti's sister was named Madhavi Devi. She was an elder lady who always performed austerities. She was very advanced in devotional service. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked her, as having formerly been an associate of Srimati Radharani. In the entire world, 3.5 people were his intimate devotees. The three were Swarup Damodar Goswami, Ramananda Roy, and Shikimati, and the half of a person was Sikimati's sister. After begging the rice from her, Junior Haridas brought it to Bhagavanacharya, who was very pleased to see his quality. In great affection, Bhagavanacharya cooked varieties of vegetables and other preparations dear to Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. He also obtained remnants of food from Lord Jagannath in digestive aids such as ground ginger and also lime with salt. At noon, when Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu came to eat the offerings of Bhagavanacharya, he first appreciated the fine rice and therefore questioned him. "Where did you get such fine rice?" The Lord asked. Bhagavanacharya replied, "I got it by begging from Madhavi Devi." When Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu asked who had begged the rice and brought it back, Bhagavanacharya mentioned the name Junior Haridas. Praising the quality of
Он жил почти как отшельник. Брат Бхагавана Ачарьи по имени Гапала Бхаттачарья изучал философию Веданты в Бинарисе, после чего вернулся домой к Бхагавану.
Praising the quality of the rice, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu partook of the prasadam. Then, after returning to his residence, he gave the following order to Govinda, his personal assistant. "From this day forward, do not allow Chota Haridas to come here." When Junior Haridas heard that he had been ordered not to approach Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, he was very unhappy. No one could understand why he had been ordered not to come. Haridas fasted continuously for 3 days. Then Svarup Damodar Goswami and other confidential devotees approached Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu to inquire from him. "What great offense has Junior Haridas committed? Why has he been forbidden to come to your door? He has now been fasting for 3 days." The Lord replied, "I cannot tolerate seeing the face of a person who has accepted the renounced order of life, but who still talks intimately with women. So strongly do the senses adhere to the objects of their enjoyment, that indeed a wooden statue of a woman attracts the mind of even a great saintly person. One should not sit closely with one's mother, sister, or daughter, for the senses are so strong that they may attract even a person of advanced in knowledge. There are many persons with little in their possession who accept the renounced order of life like monkeys. They go here and there engaging in sense gratification and speaking intimately with women." After saying this, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu entered his room. Seeing him in such an angry mood, all the devotees felt silent. The next day, all the devotees together approached the lotus feet of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu to submit an appeal on behalf of Junior Haridas. "Haridas has committed a small offense," they said. "Therefore, O Lord, please be merciful to him. Now he has received a sufficient lesson. In the future he will not commit such an offense." Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu said, "My mind is not under my control. It does not like to see anyone in the renounced order who talks intimately with women. You should all tend to your respective engagements. Give up this useless talk. If you speak this way again, I shall go away, and you will no longer see me here." Hearing this, all the devotees covered their ears with their hands, got up, and went about their respective duties. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu also left that place to perform his noontime duties. No one could understand his pastimes. The next day, all the devotees went to Sri Paramananda Puri and requested him to pacify the Lord. Paramananda Puri therefore went alone to the residence of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. The Lord, after offering obeisances, seated him by his side with great respect. The Lord inquired, "What is your order? For what purpose have you come here?" Paramananda Puri then submitted his prayer that the Lord show favor to Junior Haridas. Hearing his request, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu replied, "My dear Lord, please hear me. It is better for you to stay here with all the Vaishnavas. Please give me permission to go to Alalanath. I shall remain there alone. Only Govinda will go with me." After saying this, the Lord called for Govinda. Offering obeisances to Paramananda Puri, he got up and began to leave. In great haste, Paramananda Puri Gosai went before him, and with great humility persuaded him to sit down in his room. Paramananda Puri said, "My dear Lord Caitanya, you are the independent personality of Godhead. You can do whatever you like. Who can say anything above you? All your activities are for the benefit of the people in general. We cannot understand them, for your intentions are deep and grave." After saying this, Paramananda Puri Gosai left for his own home. Then all the devotees went to see Junior Haridas. Swarup Damodar Gosai said, "Please hear us, Haridas, for we all wish you well. Please believe this. At present, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is persisting in his mood of anger because he is the independent Supreme Personality of Godhead. At some time, however, he will surely be merciful, for at heart he is very kind. The Lord is persisting, and if you also persist, his persistence will increase. It is better for you to bathe and take prasadam in due course. His anger will automatically subside." Having said this, Swarup Damodar Goswami induced Haridas to take a bath and take prasadam. Thus, after reassuring him, he returned home. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to see Lord Jagannath in the temple, Haridas would stay a long distance away and see him. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the ocean of mercy. Who can understand him? When he chastises his dear devotees, he certainly does so to re-establish the principles of religion and duty. After all the devotees saw this example, a mentality of fear grew among them. Therefore, they all stopped talking with women, even in dreams. In this way, a complete year passed for Junior Haridas, but still there was not a sign of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy toward him. Thus, at the end of the one night, Junior Haridas, after offering Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu his respectful obeisances, departed for Prayag without saying anything to anyone. Junior Haridas had conclusively decided to attain shelter at the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Thus he entered deep into the water of Triveni, the confluence of the Ganges and Yamuna at Prayag, and in this way gave up his life. Immediately after committing suicide in this way, he went in his spiritual body to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and received the mercy of the Lord. However, he still remained invisible. In a spiritual body resembling that of a Gandharva, Junior Haridas, although invisible, would sing at night for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to hear. No one but the Lord, however, knew of this. One day, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu inquired from the devotees, "Where is Haridas? Now you may bring him here." The devotees all replied, "One night, at the end of a full year, Junior Haridas got up and went away. No one knows where he has gone." While hearing the devotees lament, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu One day, Jagadananda, Swarup Govinda Kashishvara, Shankara, Damodar, and Makunda all went to bathe in the sea. They could hear Haridas singing from a distant place, as if calling them in his original voice. No one could see him, but they could hear him singing in a sweet voice. Therefore, all the devotees, headed by Govinda, made this guess. Haridas must have committed suicide by drinking poison, and because of this sinful act he has now become a Brahmana ghost. We cannot see his material form, they said, but still we hear his sweet singing, therefore he must have become a ghost. Swarup Damodar, however, protested, "This is a false guess." Junior Haridas chanted the Hare Krishna mantra throughout his entire life and served the Supreme Lord, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Moreover, he is dear to the Lord and has died in a holy place. Haridas cannot have been degraded. He must have attained liberation. This is a pastime of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's. You will all understand it later. A devotee returned from Navadvip from Prayag and told everyone the details of Junior Haridas's suicide. He explained now Junior Haridas had made his resolution and had thus entered the waters. at the confluence of the Yamuna and the Ganges. Hearing these details, Srivas Thakur and other devotees were very surprised. At the end of the year, Shivananda Sain came to Jagannath Puri as usual, accompanied by the other devotees, and thus, in great happiness, met Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When Srivas Thakur inquired from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, "Where is Junior Haridas?" the Lord replied, "A person is sure to achieve the results of his fruitive activities." Then Srivas Thakur related the details of Haridas's decision and his entering the waters at the confluence of the Ganges and Yamuna. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard these details, he smiled in a pleased mood and said, "If with sensual intentions one looks at a woman, this is the only process of atonement." All the devotees, headed by Sri Varup Damodar Goswami, concluded that because Haridas had committed suicide at the confluence of the rivers Ganges and Yamuna, he must have ultimately attained the shelter of the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In this way, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the son of Mother Sachi, performs his pastimes, which greatly satisfy the ears and minds of pure devotees who hear them. This incident manifests the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, his teaching that a sannyasi should remain in the renounced order, and the deep attachment to him felt by his faithful devotees. It also demonstrates the glories of holy places and shows how the Lord accepts his faithful devotee. Thus the Lord fulfilled 5 or 7 purposes by performing one pastime. The pastime of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are like nectar. They are deep like the ocean. People in general cannot understand them, but a sober devotee can. Please hear the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with faith and confidence. Do not argue, for argument will produce a contrary result. Praying at the lotus feet of Sri Rupa and Sri Raghunath, always desiring their mercy, I, Krishna Das, narrate Sri Caitanya Charitamrta following in their footsteps. Instructions from this chapter. Summarizing this chapter, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur says that one should derive from it the following lessons. 1. Although Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is an incarnation of mercy, he nevertheless gave up the company of his personal associates, namely Junior Haridas, for if he had not done so, pseudo-devotees would have taken advantage of Junior Haridas's fault by using it as an excuse to live as a devotee, and at the same time have illicit sexual connections. Such activities would have demoralized the cult of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And as a result, devotees would surely have gone to a hellish life in the name of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. 2. By chastising Junior Haridas, the Lord set the standard for acharyas, or the head of instructions propagating the Chaitanya cult. And for all actual devotees, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to maintain the highest standard. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructed that a pure devotee should be simple and free from sinful activities, for thus one can be his bona fide servant. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught his followers how to observe the renounced order strictly. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to prove that his devotees are exalted and that their character is ideal. He kindly accepts his faithful devotees and teaches them how much tribulation and disturbance can be produced by even a slight deviation from the strict principles of devotional life. By chastising Junior Haridas, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu exhibited his mercy toward him, thus showing how elevated was Junior Haridas's devotion for him. Because of this transcendental relationship, the Lord corrected even a slight offense committed by his pure devotee. Therefore, one who wants to be a pure devotee of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu should give up all material sense gratification. Otherwise, the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are very difficult to attain. If one dies in such a celebrated holy place as Prayag, Mathura, or Vrindavan, one can be relieved of the reactions of sinful life and then attain the shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Although a pure or faithful devotee may fall down, he nevertheless ultimately gets the chance to go back home, back to Godhead, by the mercy of the Lord. Thus end Chapter 2, the chastisement of Junior Haridas Chapter 3. The Glories of
Слышав обо всех этих подробностях,
Haridas Thakur.
его поступки. В конце года Шачинандана, Шивананда что поскольку Харидас совершил самоубийство,
Summary.
влияние Ганги и Муни,
The summary of the third chapter is given by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur as follows. A beautiful young Brahmana girl in Jagannath Puri had a very handsome son who was coming every day to Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. This was not very much to the liking of Damodar Pandit. However,
как милостив был Шри Чайтанья Махапрабху по отношению к обычным людям,
who therefore told Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, "If you display so much love for this boy, people will doubt your character." Hearing these words from Damodar Pandit, the Lord sent him to Navadvip to supervise the affairs of his mother, Sachi Devi. He also especially requested Damodar Pandit to remind his mother that he was sometimes going to her home to accept the food she offered. Thus, following the order of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, Damodar Pandit went to Navadvip, taking with him all kinds of prasadam from Lord Jagannath. On another occasion, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu once inquired from Haridas Thakur, who was known as Brahmana Haridas, how the Yavanas, or persons bereft of Vedic culture, would be delivered in the Kali Yuga. Haridas Thakur replied that their deliverance would be possible if they very loudly chanted the Hare Krishna mantra, for hearing the Hare Krishna mantra chanted loudly, even but with little realization, would help them. After describing this incident, the author of Chaitanya Charitamrta also describes how Haridas Thakur was tested at Benapur, a village near Shantipur. A person named Ramachandra Khan, who was envious of Haridas Thakur, sent a professional prostitute to attempt to defame him. But by the mercy of Haridas Thakur, even the prostitute was delivered. Because of offending a pure Vaishnav, Ramananda Khan was later cursed by Nityananda Prabhu and ruined. From Benapur, Haridas Thakur went to the village known as Chandapura, where he lived at the house of Balaram Acharya. Thereafter, Haridas Thakur was received by two brothers known as Hiranya and Govardhan Majumdara. But in the course of a discussion, he was offended by a caste Brahmana known as Gopal Chakravarti. Because of this offense, Gopal Chakravarti was punished by being afflicted with leprosy. Haridas Thakur later left Chandapur and went to the house of Advaita Acharya, where he was tested by Maya Devi, the personification of external energy. She also received his favor by being blessed with the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Text 1. I offer my respectful obeisances onto the lotus feet of my spiritual master and of all other preceptors on the path of devotional service, onto the Vaishnavas, and onto the six Goswamis, including Srila Rupa Goswami, Srila Sanatana Goswami, Raghunath Das Goswami, Jiva Goswami, and their associates. I offer my respectful obeisances onto Sri Advaita Acharya Prabhu, Sri Nityananda Prabhu, and Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, as well as all his devotees, headed by Srivas Thakur. I then offer my respectful obeisances onto the lotus feet of Lord Krishna and Srimati Radharani, and all the gopis, headed by Lalita and Vishaka. All glories to Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, all glories to Nityananda Prabhu, all glories to Advaita Acharya, and all glories to all the devotees of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. In Jagannath Puri there was a young boy who had been born of an Arishan Brahmana who had later lost his father. The boy's features were very beautiful and his behavior was extremely gentle. The boy came daily to Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu and offered him respectful obeisances. He was free to talk with Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu because the Lord was his life and soul, but the boy's intimacy with the Lord and the Lord's mercy toward him were intolerable for Damodar Pandit. Damodar Pandit again and again forbade the son of the Brahmana to visit the Lord, but the boy could not bear staying at home and not seeing Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. The boy came every day to Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, who treated him with great affection. It is the nature of any boy to go see a man who loves him. This was intolerable for Damodar Pandit. He became greatly unhappy, but there was nothing he could say, for the boy would ignore his restrictions. This was intolerable for Damodar Pandit. He became greatly unhappy, but there was nothing he could say, for the boy would ignore his restrictions. One day, when the boy came to Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, the Lord very affectionately inquired from him about all kinds of news. After some time, when the boy stood up and left, the intolerant Damodar Pandit began to speak. Damodar Pandit impudently said to the Lord, "Everyone says that you are a great teacher because of your instructions to others, but now we shall find out what kind of teacher you are. You are known as Goshai, teacher or Acharya, but now talk about your attributes and reputation will spread throughout the city of Purushottama, how your position will be impaired." Although Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu knew that Damodar Pandit was pure and simple devotee, upon hearing this impudent talk, the Lord said, "My dear Damodar, what nonsense are you speaking?" Damodar Pandit replied, "You are the independent personality of Godhead beyond all criticism. My dear Lord, you can act as you please. No one can say anything to restrict you. Nevertheless, the entire world is impudent. People can say anything. How can you stop them? Dear Lord, you are a learned teacher. Why then don't you consider that this boy is the son of a widowed Brahmani? Why are you so affectionate to him?" Although the boy's mother is completely austere and chaste, she has one natural fault. She is a very beautiful young girl. And you, my dear Lord, you are a handsome, attractive young man. Therefore, certainly people will whisper about you. Why should you give them such an opportunity? Having said this, Damodar Pandit became silent. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu smiled, pleased with himself, and considered the impudence of Damodar Pandit. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu thought, "This impudence is also a sign of pure love for me. I have no other intimate friend like Damodar Pandit." Thinking in this way, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu went to perform his noon duties. The next day, he called Damodar Pandit to a solitary place. The Lord said, "My dear friend Damodar, you had better go to Nadia and stay with my mother. I see no one but you to protect her, for you are so careful that you can caution even me. You are the most neutral among my associates. This is very good, for without being neutral, one cannot protect religious principles. You can do whatever I cannot. Indeed, you can chastise even me, what to speak of others. In this, it is best for you to go to the shelter of my mother's lotus feet, for no one will be able to behave independently in front of you. At intervals, you may come see me here, and then soon again go there. Offer my mother millions of my obeisances. Please speak to her about my happiness here, and thus give her happiness. Tell her that I sent you to inform her of my personal activities, so that she may share in my happiness. Speaking in this way, satisfy the mind of Mother Sachi. Also remind her of one most confidential incident with this message from me. I come to your home again and again to eat all the sweetmeats and vegetables you offer. You know that I come and eat the offerings, but because of external separation, you consider During the last Maga Sankranti festival, you cooked varieties of vegetables, condensed milk, cakes, and sweet rice for me. You offered the food to Lord Krishna, and while you were in meditation, I suddenly appeared, and your eyes filled with tears. I went there in great haste and ate everything. When you saw me eating, you felt great happiness. In a moment after you wiped your eyes, you saw the plate you had offered me was empty. Then you thought, I dreamt as if Nimai were eating everything. In the condition of external separation, you were again under illusion, thinking that you had not offered the food to Lord Vishnu. Then you went to see the cooking pots and found that every pot was filled with food. Therefore you again offered the food after cleansing the place for the offering. Thus I again and again eat everything you offer me, for I am attracted by your pure love. Only by your order am I living in Nilachala, Jagannath Puri. Nevertheless, you still pull me near you because of your great love for me. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu told Damodar Pandit, remind Mother Sachi in this way again and again. After seeing this, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu ordered that varieties of prasadam offered to the Lord Jagannath be brought. The Lord then gave him the prasadam separately packed and offer to various Vaishnavas and his mother. In this way, Damodar Pandit went to Nadia, Navadvip. After meeting Mother Sachi, he stayed under the care of her lotus feet. He delivered all the prasadam to a great devotee, Vaishnav, as Advaita Acharya. Thus he stayed there and behaved according to the order of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. Everyone knew that Damodar Pandit was strict in practical dealings. Therefore everyone was afraid of him and dared not do anything independent. Damodar Pandit would verbally chastise every devotee of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu whom he found deviating even slightly from proper behavior. Thus he established the standard etiquette. In this way I have described Damodar Pandit's verbal chastisements. As one hears about this, atheistic principles and ignorance depart. The pastimes of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu are deeper than millions of seas and oceans. Therefore, no one can understand what he does or why he does it. I do not know the deep meaning of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu's activities. As far as possible, I shall try to explain them externally. One day, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu met Haridas Thakur as usual, and in the course of discussion, he inquired as follows. My dear Thakur Haridas, in this age of Kali, most people are bereft of Vedic culture, and therefore they are called Yavanas. They are concerned only with killing cows in Brahminical culture. In this way, they are all engaged in sinful acts. How will these Yavanas be delivered? To my great unhappiness, I do not see any way. Haridas Thakur replied, My dear Lord, do not be in anxiety. Do not be unhappy to see the condition of the Yavanas in material existence. Because the Yavanas are accustomed to saying, Ha Rama, Lord Ramachandra, O Lord Ramachandra, they will very easily be delivered by this Namabhas. A devotee in advanced ecstatic love exclaims, O my Lord Ramachandra, O my Lord Ramachandra. But the Yavanas also chant, Ha Rama, Haram, Haram. Just see their good fortune. Namacharya Haridas Thakur, the authority on chanting the holy name, said, the chanting of the Lord's holy name to indicate something other than the Lord is an instance of Namabhas. Even when the holy name is chanted in this way, its transcendental power is not destroyed. Even a Malecha, who is being killed by the tusk of a boar, who cries in distress again and again, Haram, Haram, attains liberation. What then to speak of those who chant the holy name with veneration and faith? Ajamil was a great sinner during his life, but at the time of his death he accidentally called for his youngest son, whose name was Narayana, and the attendants of Lord Vishnu came to relieve him from the bonds of Yamaraj, the superintendent of death. The word Rama consists of two syllables, Ra and Ma. These are unseparated and are decorated with the loving word Ha, meaning O. The letters of the holy name have so much spiritual potency that they act even when uttered improperly. If a devotee once utters the holy name of the Lord, or if it penetrates his mind or enters his ears, which is the channel of oral reception, that holy name will certainly deliver him from material bondage. Whether vibrated or properly or improperly, with correct or incorrect grammar, or properly joined or vibrated in separate parts, O Brahmana, the potency of the holy name is therefore certainly great. However, if one uses the vibration of the holy name for the benefit of the material body, for material wealth and followers, or under the influence of greed or atheism, in other words, if one utters the name with offenses, such chanting will not produce the desired results very soon. Therefore, one should diligently avoid offenses in chanting the holy name of the Lord. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur continued, if one offensively utters the holy name, even imperfectly, one can be freed from all results of sinful life. O reservoir of all good qualities, just worship Sri Krishna, the purifier of all purifiers, the most exalted of all personalities, worshipped by choice poetry. Worship him with a faithful, unflinching mind, without duplicity, and a highly elevated manner. Thus worship the Lord, whose name is like the sun. For just as a slight appearance of the sun dissipates the darkness of night, so a slight appearance of the holy name of Krishna can drive away all the darkness of ignorance that arises in the heart due to greatly sinful activities performed in previous lives. Even a faint light from the holy name of the Lord can eradicate all reactions of sinful life. While dying, Ajamil chanted the holy name of the Lord, intending to call his son Narayana. Nevertheless, he attained the spiritual world. What then to speak of those who chant the holy name with faith and reverence? Because of even the faintest ray of the effulgence of the Lord's holy name, one can attain liberation. We can see this in all the revealed scriptures. The evidence appears in the story of Ajamil in Srimad Bhagavatam. As Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu heard this from Haridas Thakur, the happiness within his heart increased, but as a matter of course, he still inquired further. On this earth, many living entities, the Lord said, some moving and some non-moving. What will happen to the trees, plants, insects, and other living entities? How will they be delivered from material bondage? Haridas Thakur replied, My dear Lord, the deliverance of all moving and non-moving living entities takes place by your mercy. You have already granted this mercy and delivered them. You have loudly chanted the Hare Krishna mantra to everyone, moving or not moving, and everyone moving or not moving has benefited by hearing it. My Lord, the moving entities who have heard your loud Sankirtan have already been delivered from bondage to the material world, and after the non-moving living entities like trees hear it, there is an echo. Actually, however, it is not an echo. It is the kirtan of the non-moving living entities. All this, although inconceivable, is possible by your mercy. When loud chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra is performed all over the world by those who follow in your footsteps, all living entities, moving and non-moving, danced in ecstatic devotional love. My dear Lord, all the incidents that took place while you were going to Vrindavan through the forest known as Jharikanda have been related to me by your servant Balabhadra Bhattacharya. When your devotee Vasudev Datta submitted his plea at your lotus feet for the deliverance of all living entities, you accepted that request. My dear Lord, you have accepted the form of a devotee just to deliver all the fallen souls of this world. You have preached the loud chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and in this way freed all moving and non-moving living entities from material bondage. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu replied, "If all living entities are liberated, then the entire universe will be devoid of living beings." Haridas said, "My Lord, as long as you are situated within the material world, you will send to the spiritual sky all the developed moving and non-moving living entities in different species. Then again, you will awaken the living entities who are not yet developed and engage them in activities. In this way, all not moving and non-moving living entities will come into existence, and the entire universe will be filled as it was previously." Previously, when Lord Ramachandra left this world, he took with him all living entities of Ayodhya. Then he filled Ayodhya again with living entities. My dear Lord, you have set a plan in motion by descending to the material world, but no one can understand how you are acting. Formerly, when Lord Krishna descended in Vrindavan, he freed all living entities in the universe from material existence in the same way. Krishna, the unborn Supreme Personality of Godhead, Master of all masters of mystic power, deliverers of all living entities, moving and non-moving, nothing is astonishing in the activities of the Lord. Although the Supreme Personality of Godhead may be seen, glorified, or remembered with an attitude of envy, he nevertheless awards the most confidential liberation, which is rarely achieved by the demigods and demons. What then can be said of those who are already fully engaged in devotional service to the Lord? By descending as your incarnation at Navadvip, you, just like Krishna, have already delivered all the living entities of the universe. One may say that he understands the glories of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. He may know whatever he may know, but as far as I am concerned, this is my conclusion. My dear Lord, your pastimes are just like an ocean of nectar. It is not possible for me to conceive how great that ocean is, or even to understand a drop of it. Hearing all this, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu was astonished. These are actually my confidential pastimes, he thought. How could Haridas have understood them? Greatly satisfied by the statements of Haridas Thakur, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu embraced him outwardly. However, he avoided further discussions of these matters. This is the characteristic of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Although he wants to cover his opulence, he cannot do so before his devotees. This is well known everywhere. O my Lord, everything within material nature is limited by time, space, and thought. Your characteristics, however, being unequaled and unsurpassed, are always transcendental to such limitations. You sometimes cover such characteristics by your own energy, but nevertheless your unalloyed devotees are always able to see you under all circumstances. Then Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu went to his personal devotees and began speaking about Haridas Thakur's transcendental qualities as if he had hundreds of mouths. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu derives great pleasure from glorifying his devotees, and among the devotees Haridas Thakur is foremost. The transcendental qualities of Haridas Thakur are innumerable and unfathomable. One may describe a portion of them, but to count them all is impossible. In the Chaitanya Mangala, Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur has described the attributes of Haridas Thakur to some extent. No one can describe all the qualities of Haridas Thakur. One may say something about them just to purify himself. O devotees of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, please hear something about the qualities of Haridas Thakur that Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur has not described in detail. After leaving his home, Haridas Thakur stayed for some time in the forest of Benapul. Haridas Thakur constructed a cottage in a solitary forest. There he planted a tulsi plant, and in front of the tulsi he would chant the holy name of the Lord 300 times daily. He chanted throughout the entire day and night. For this, his bodily maintenance, he would go to a Brahmana's house and beg some food. He was spiritually so influential that all the neighboring people would worship him. A landlord named Ramachandra Khan was the zamindar of that district. He was envious of Vaishnavas and was therefore a great atheist. Unable to tolerate that such respect was being offered to Haridas Thakur, Ramachandra Khan planned in various ways to dishonor him. By no means could he find any fault in the character of Haridas Thakur. Therefore he called for a local prostitute and he began a plan to discredit His Holiness. Ramachandra Khan said to the prostitutes, "There is a mendicant named Haridas Thakur. All of you devise a way to deviate him from his vows of austerity." Among the prostitutes, one attractive young girl was selected. "I shall attract the mind of Haridas Thakur," she promised, "within 3 days." Ramachandra Khan said to the prostitute, "My constable will go with you, so that as soon as he sees you with Haridas Thakur, immediately he will arrest him and bring both of you to me." The prostitute replied, "First let me have union with him once. Then the second time I shall take your constable with him to arrest him." At night, the prostitute, after dressing herself most attractively, went to the cottage of Haridas Thakur with great jubilation. After offering obeisances to the tulsi plant, she went to the door of Haridas Thakur, offered him obeisances, and stood there. Exposing part of his body to his view, she sat down on the threshold of the door and spoke with him in very sweet words. "My dear Thakur, O great preacher, great devotee, you are so beautifully built that you have really well, and your youth is just beginning. Who is the woman who could control her mind after seeing you? I am eager to be united with you. My mind is greedy for this. If I don't obtain you, I shall not be able to keep my body and soul together." Haridas Thakur replied, "I shall accept you without fail, but you will have to wait until I have finished chanting my regular rounds and my beads. Until that time, please sit and listen to the chanting of the holy name. As soon as I am finished, I shall fulfill your desire." Hearing this, the prostitute remained sitting there while Haridas Thakur chanted on his beads until the light of the morning appeared. When she saw that there was morning, the prostitute stood up and left. Coming before Ramachandra Khan, she informed him of all the news. "Today Haridas Thakur has promised to enjoy with me. Tomorrow certainly I shall have union with him." The next night, when the prostitute came again, Haridas Thakur gave her many assurances. "Last night you were disappointed. Please excuse my offense. I shall certainly accept you." Please sit down and hear the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra until my regular chanting is finished. Then your desire will surely be fulfilled. After offering her obeisances to the tulsi plant and Haridas Thakur, she sat down at the door. Hearing Haridas Thakur chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, she also chanted, "O my Lord Hari, O my Lord Hari." When the night came to an end, the prostitute was restless. Seeing this, Haridas Thakur spoke to her as follows: "I have vowed to chant 10 million names in a month. I have taken this vow, but now it is nearing its end. I thought that today I would be able to finish my performance of yajna, my chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra. I tried my best to chant the holy name all night, but I still did not finish. Tomorrow I will surely finish, and my vow will be fulfilled. Then it will be possible for me to enjoy with you in full freedom." The prostitute returned to the Ramachandra Khan and informed him of what had happened. The next day she came earlier at the beginning of the evening and stayed with Haridas Thakur. After offering obeisances to the tulsi plant and Haridas Thakur, she sat down on the threshold of the room. Thus she began to hear Haridas Thakur's chanting, and she also personally chanted Hari Hari, the holy name of the Lord. "Today it will be possible for me to finish my chanting," Haridas Thakur informed her. "Then I shall satisfy all your desires." The night ended while Haridas Thakur was chanting, but by his association with the the mind of the prostitute had changed. The prostitute, now purified, fell at the lotus feet of Haridas Thakur and confessed that Ramachandra Khan had appointed her to pollute him. Because I have taken the profession of a prostitute, she said, I have performed unlimited sinful acts. My Lord, be merciful to me. Deliver my fallen soul. Haridas Thakur replied, I know everything about the conspiracy of Ramachandra Khan. He is nothing but an ignorant fool. Therefore his activities do not make me feel unhappy. On the very day Ramachandra Khan was planning his intrigue against me, I would have left this place immediately. But because you came here, I stayed here for 3 days to deliver you. The prostitute said, Kindly act as my spiritual master. Instruct me in my duty, by which I can get relief from material existence. Haridas Thakur replied, Immediately go home and distribute to the Brahmanas whatever property you have. Then come back to this room and stay here forever in Krishna consciousness. Chant the Hare Krishna mantra continuously and render service to the Tulsi plant by watering her and offering prayers to her. In this way you will very soon get the opportunity to be sheltered at the lotus feet of Krishna. After thus instructing the prostitute about the process of chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, Haridas Thakur stood up and left, continuously chanting Hari Hari. Thereafter the prostitute distributed to the Brahmanas whatever household possessions she had, following the order of her spiritual master. The prostitute shaved her head clean in accordance with the Vaishnava principles and stayed in that room wearing only one cloth. Following in the footsteps of her spiritual master, she began chanting the holy name of Krishna 300,000 times a day. She chanted throughout the entire day and night. She worshipped the Tulsi plant following the footsteps of her spiritual master. Instead of eating regularly, she chewed whatever food she received as alms, and if nothing was supplied, she would fast. Thus by eating frugally and fasting, she conquered her senses, and as soon as her senses were controlled, symptoms of love of God had appeared in her person. Thus the prostitute became a celebrated devotee. She became very advanced in spiritual life, and many stalwart Vaishnavas would come to see her. Seeing the sublime character of the prostitute, everyone was astonished. Everyone glorified the influence of Haridas Thakur and offered him obeisances. By inducing a prostitute to disturb Haridas Thakur, Ramachandra Khan caused a seed of offense at his lotus feet to germinate. This seed later became a tree, and when it fructified, Ramachandra Khan ate its fruits. This offense at the lotus feet of an exalted devotee has resulted in a wonderful narration. Taking advantage of the opportunity afforded by these incidents, I shall explain what happened. O devotees, please listen. Ramachandra Khan was naturally a non-devotee. Now, having offered the lotus feet of Haridas Thakur, he became just like a demoniac atheist. Because of blaspheming the cult of Vaishnavism and insulting devotees for a long time, he now received the results of his offensive activities. When Lord Nityananda returned to Bengal to preach the cult of Bhakti, love of Godhead, he began touring all over the country for two purposes: to spread the cult of Bhakti and to defeat and subdue the atheists. Lord Nityananda, the most dedicated devotee of the Lord, moved throughout the country. Lord Nityananda, who is omniscient because he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, came to the house of Ramachandra Khan and sat down on the altar of Durga Mandapa. When the Durga Mandapa and courtyard became filled with crowds of men, Ramachandra Khan, who was inside the house, sent his servants to Lord Nityananda. The servant informed Lord Nityananda, My dear Sir Ramachandra Khan has sent me to accommodate you in some common man's house. You might go to the house of the milkman or the cowshed of species, where the space here as Durga Mandapa is insufficient because you have many followers with you. When Nityananda Prabhu heard this order from the servant of Ramachandra Khan, he became very angry and came out. Laughing very loudly, he spoke as follows: Ramachandra Khan has spoken rightly. This place is unfit for me. It is fit for cow-killing meat-eaters.
Блудница вернулась к Рамачандре хану и обо всем ему доложила. На следующий день она пришла пораньше, как только стало смеркаться, и осталась с Харидасом Такуром. Выразив почтение деве Туласи и Харидасу Такуру, она села у порога его хижины и стала слушать, как Харидас Такур
Ramachandra Khan's business was questionable, for he tried to avoid paying income taxes to the government. Therefore, the government's minister in finance was angry and came to his residence. The Muslim minister made his residence in Durga Mandapa of Ramachandra Khan. He killed a cow and cooked the meat at that very place. He arrested Ramachandra Khan along with his wife and sons, and then he continuously plundered the house and village for 3 days. In that very room he cooked the flesh of a cow for 3 consecutive days. Then the next day he left, accompanied by his followers. The Muslim minister took away Ramachandra Khan's position, wealth, and followers. For many days the village remained deserted. Whenever an advanced devotee is insulted for one man's fault, the entire town or place is afflicted. Haridas Thakur walked until he came to the village known as Chandrapur. There he stayed at the house of Balaramacharya. Hiranya and Govardhan were the 2 government treasurers in that division of the country. Their priest was named Balaramacharya. Balaramacharya, being favored by Haridas Thakur, was very much attracted to him. Therefore he kept Haridas Thakur in the village with great care and attention. In the village, Haridas Thakur was given a solitary thatched cottage, where he performed the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. He accepted prasadam at the house of Balaramacharya. Raghunath Das, who was the son of Govardhan Majumadara and was later to become Raghunath Das Goswami, was at the time a boy engaged in study. He came to see Haridas Thakur daily.
Дав блуднице наставление о повторении Махамантры Харе Кришна, Харидас Такур встал и ушел.
Naturally, Haridas Thakur was merciful toward him, and because of the merciful benediction of the Vaishnav, he later attained the shelter of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu's lotus feet. At the residence of Hiranya and Govardhan, discourses took place by which Haridas Thakur was glorified. O devotees, please listen to this wonderful story. One day, Balaramacharya requested Haridas Thakur with great humility to come to the assembly of Muja Madaras, Hiranya, and Govardhan. Thus Balaramacharya went there with Haridas Thakur. Seeing Haridas Thakur, the 2 brothers immediately stood up and fell at his lotus feet. Then, with great respect, they offered him a place to sit. In that assembly were many learned scholars, brahmanas, and respectable gentlemen. The 2 brothers, Hiranya and Govardhan, were also greatly learned. Everyone there began to speak of Haridas Thakur's great qualities, as if they had 5 mouths. Hearing this, both brothers were extremely happy. It was mentioned in the assembly that Haridas Thakur chanted the holy name of Krishna 300 times a day. Thus, all the learned scholars began to discuss the glories of the holy name. Some of them said, by chanting the holy name of the Lord, one is freed from the reactions of all sinful life. Others said, simply by chanting the holy name of the Lord, a living being is liberated from material bondage. Haridas Thakur protested, these 2 benedictions are not the true result of chanting the holy name. Actually, by chanting the holy name without offenses, one awakens his ecstatic love for the lotus feet of Krishna. We're going to stop here. Very interesting story.
Встреча, и какое могущество Харидас Такура
the glories of Haridas Thakur, the powers of Haridas Thakur can purify anyone. Haridas Thakur also answered the questions of what will sinful people of Kali Yuga do. And Haridas Thakur said, consciously or unconsciously, people chanting the names of Krishna are purified. They will get your mercy. Okay, let's stop. See you soon, and we will continue our association. Have a nice